What's up, everybody? Brad Polk here at the MSG Network offices, and I'm joined by Bryce Salvador, Devils analyst from across the river, to take a look at what the Devils' options are with their first pick in the draft. Of course, Bryce, we have Jack Hughes, highly touted, #1 prospect by Central Scouting. So why has this guy had so much hype over the last couple years? What's he going to bring to the ice?
Yeah, Brad, well, all the talk right now is Jack Hughes and if he's going #1 overall. And the reason why Central Scouting's had him #1 for, a year, 2 years, whatever it may be, is just because his skating ability. It's exceptional. It's generational. It's really what separates him from the rest of the class. And you start to hear these comparisons to Connor McDavid and his ability to get away from players, his edge work. When he gets into the offensive zone, he's able to cut on a dime. And then he's able to protect the puck because of how he skates. And then when you combine that with his hockey sense, his puck skills, his ability to make everyone else on his team better in the offensive zone, whether he's looking for a winger, while he's looking for his defenseman, he's able to make that pass, make that play. His ability to just give and go, just be creative, is second to none. And that's why you're seeing him being, touted as being this, quote unquote generational player, going first overall, and just why the Devils, are going to find it very difficult to pass on drafting him, because, when you have a guy with this skill set and his ability around the net to be so creative and be that dynamic player that's just going to be a game changer, it's tough to pass on a guy like that.
All right, and then there's Kaapo Kakko, who is the #2 ranked player by Central Scouting, #1 amongst Europeans, getting a lot of buzz lately, especially from his performance in the World Championships. So what's the scouting report on him? What makes him such a strong player?
Well, what you're seeing with Kaapo Kakko is that he's becoming a prototypical power forward for the National Hockey League. His ability to protect the puck against men, which we've seen over the last year and a half over in the Finnish Elite League, is just remarkable. He can be very explosive off the wall when he's coming off protecting the puck. He can cut. His edge work, maybe not as dynamic in his skating ability as Jack Hughes, but they're different players. This is a guy that's going to go into the corners, win puck battles, come out, and execute. This is a guy that'll fit immediately on your top six. Maybe even push to be on your top line winger, on your right wing is where he's most comfortable right now. But when you got a guy like this, a frame of 6'2", 190 pounds already, he's going to be an impact player. He's coming in, and this is why he's crept himself all the way down to #2. And in some cases, really pushing, maybe depending on who you talk to be that #1 pick. But I just think that because he's a winger and not a centerman, you have to lean towards a centerman, because no one's trading a centerman anytime soon. And if you're trying to get a centerman on the open market, you're paying $5, $6, $7, $8 million. So I think just from Kaapo Kakko's positioning is why he'd be #2 and not #1.
All right, so it sounds like you're leaning towards Hughes going #1. And if that is the case, how is he going to fit in with the Devils?
Well, he's going to have to fit in as a second-line centerman. It's just because I think it might be a tough transition to be a third-line or even a fourth-line centerman. I don't think his skill set and just his physical attributes right now would allow him to play that far deep into the lineup. So he has to be a #1, #2 centerman. And I think with Travis Zajac still with 2 years left on his deal, he can be a mentor. Travis could eat some of those tough minutes should Jack Hughes come in and maybe not be able to handle some of those situations, maybe some defensive zone face-offs, if he's going up against a guy like Giroux, who's just so dominant in the face-off circle. So you still have enough centermen, being Nico Hischier or Travis Zajac, to kind of isolate Jack Hughes. So I think there's enough support there to really allow him to grow into that position there, because he's going to be a dynamic centerman. And from the Devils' perspective, when you look forward, 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, you've got two legitimate centermen, being Hischier and Jack Hughes, that you can build around. Yes, Jack Hughes is, 5'10", is on the smaller end, but you can complement him with a nice, big, strong winger, maybe a couple of them, and that will help, mitigate maybe that size factor. But like I said, there's been smaller guys in the league that have had success. And I think that when you look at Jack Hughes, his upside ceiling is so significant that You got to be patient with him and allow him to come in, fill in nicely into the Devils lineup, build around him, and like I said, you have 1 and 2 centermans right there, like that. It could be a nucleus for a long time for the Devils.